You can feel roots on you, Sigverker. You like waken to this song that you can hear, and it reminds you of like the splash of water on your face when you had found that stream, and you had like washed your hands and splashed some water into your face and taken a sip of the cold, clear water. And you had seen the antlers very, very briefly, and you had been walking and wandering as the Allfather had told you to, but you can remember that image really strongly of the antlers and of black eyes and of hooves and of sharp teeth. And you can remember roots and vines crawling all over your body like worms, pulling you down and under and down. Now you can wake up and you can hear the song again, the song that had led you to this stream. And as you open your eyes, you realize that you are in darkness. You're bound to a wall with roots and vines. They snake around and into and out of your arms and legs. There's pain, but for some reason, you don't really feel it. But it's dark and you can't see really anything beyond from where you are. You can just about move. There's roots wrapped around your throat and around your forehead, but you can kind of like struggle and like look down and see that you are pinned to a wall and that there are roots and vines going into and out of your skin, connecting you and holding you to this wall.
I take a painful gulp around one of the constricting vines around my throat, forcing the saliva down as I wet my mouth, controlling my breathing as I nudge forward ever so slightly, testing the strength of the bindings.
They seem impossibly strong, and you are stronger than most. And even so, as you struggle, you can hear the sort of fraying, the noise that a rope might make, but it's stronger than that. And there's no give, even though you're pulling as quickly as you can and as hard as you can.
Feeling the tug of flesh every time he moves. After a few minutes, he stops and slackens and tries to almost give in to the vines and let them do the work and hold him up.
This is the singing you hear over and over, this chant that you can hear as you walk and approach this mound, and you can see up ahead, it's this strange rhythmic chant just repeated over and over again. And it sounds like more than one voice, some deep, some high, various different pitches. You can hear it coming from the mound, but also from behind you and from up in the trees and from under you in the water, and you can hear it in your head. And you put your hands over your ears and still you can hear it, this song. Over and over again. And everything starts to look nicer as you approach this mound. This strange feeling of calm comes over you that you should relax. You should close your eyes. You're safe. You're warm. And you can see your allies, how beautiful they are, how perfect. Even the dirt on their faces appears as beautiful patterns, swirling and fractal. And the water beneath you sparkles with light, and the tiny fish within seem to smile at you. And there is peace, and there is calm. Those of you who are walking in the river, can you each make me a wisdom save?
That is a natural 1.
8.
I was feeling bad about my 13, but
So Sigrid and Phelim and Wagner, you stare in wonder at your hands. You like look at them and you can see this insane detail, this high definition vision as you like see all of the creases of your hands in perfect clarity, and you can see inside each one there are swirling patterns and fractal designs, and everywhere that you look is a thing of incredible beauty. Wisla, you scrunch your eyes and you like try and block out that song for a moment. You can see sitting on the throne what was once a tree that has been moved into the shape over hundreds of years maybe of a throne. There's a thing, creature. It's a man, it's a woman, it's a stag, a horse, a hound, a fox. It's all of these things and none of them. And it sits languishing in the throne. There's a leg hanging seductively over one of the arms, and it leans its head back and lifts its arm above its head and drops something red and wet into its mouth. A grape, a berry, a heart, a liver. You're not really sure. Its head swings towards you, and you can see great curved horns, antlers on its head. You can see its ears are long and pointed and moving like those of a stag, and you can see its eyes, black and infinite.
Wisla turns to look at Phelim, and she sees him entranced with the mundane skin on his hands, the scars there, the details on them. She goes, Jarl, Phelim, do not listen to it.
Welcome. I had been waiting for you. He cannot hear you.
She tries not to look towards this creature, and instead approaches Phelim and puts a hand to his forehead and to his cheek. Jarl. Jarl.
Of all of them, it is you that I want to speak to most, Wisla. You. There's power in you. You know that. Real power. But you don't accept it. You stick to these codes, these ways of thinking, hemmed in by your all-father. It can be different. It can be better. I want to help you, Wisla.
Odin protects us. I abide by his laws. None other.
He protects you. Where is he? You are here now, in my world, and I am God here. Where is Odin? Where is Glad of War, the Battle Wolf, the Victory Author? Where is he?
He is here. He is around us. The sky, the sea, the sun.
You think that, don't you? That he's everywhere. But he's nowhere. He doesn't care. I could tear your heart out of your chest now if I wished. And he wouldn't stop me.
And I would live in Valhalla for it.
Would you? Do you think so? You would end up there if I took your heart.
Odin rewards those who are faithful to him.
And you would be faithful even now.
Aye.
Then you are deeply foolish. I do not ask for much in return for the power that I would grant you. There is magic beyond your understanding. You believe that the songs that you sing are magical, that there is power there. Those are tricks, chicanery, nonsense. I have real power, and I can show you. Do not ask for much in return.
Hidden runes shalt thou seek, and interpreted signs, many symbols of might and power, by the great singer painted, by the high powers fashioned, graved by the utterer of gods. For gods graved Odin, for elves graved Dane, Dvalin the Dallier for dwarves, all wise for Jotuns, and I of myself graved for some sons of men. I will not hear you.
But you will. There is a child growing inside you, Hvislav.
Her
You do
hand
not want
covers
it.
his stomach protectively.
That's the price. What I ask. It is an inconvenience to you now, and it will be. You cannot expect to continue your life on the high seas, raiding and reaving in your current state. I can take that burden from you. I will ensure that that child grows mighty, that she is cared for, that she will grow strong and learn the true power that is the right of your kind. Not this man's magic, but that of Seath.
If it is a daughter I shall have, then I shall train her in the ways of the Velva and the Sather.
Disappointing. We shall see.
The thing starts to move down the mound and kind of moves around Sigrid and then around Vagnar, who are just standing there looking at their hands. And then they look in the water, and like Vagnar goes down and he picks up like a handful of water and he like giggles, like he's amazed by it, and then like lets the water drop. And this like incredibly long fingered hand that ends in this very long claw, total blackness, comes and it like holds Vagnar's face and it moves it to look so that he can look into the face of this thing.
Ragnar. You have been through much, and everywhere you go there is hate. And everywhere you go, people spit on you. They hate you. They fear you. I can make that go away. I can take that brand from you. I can make it so all who have seen it forget it. You will be free of the burden of your oath-breaking, of your crimes. All you need do is say yes, and I will remove it from you. I will fill you with a spirit, a great spirit of leadership, of valor. Your eyes shall shine golden, and all will follow you behind your banner.
Before Wagner responds, I need to ask you a question, Lloyd. With the failed wisdom save, is Wagner in possession of his faculties, or?
So when the thing touches your face, you kind of snap back to reality, though you don't see it like this. You see a beautiful woman of slender features. She has slightly pointed ears, but otherwise is almost too perfect.
Vagnar's looking into the eyes of this unearthly being. And he says, I know that look. I know it well. Kin killer, oath breaker, man without honor. I don't suppose you know of the one that goes by Coalbrander, do you?
There is little that you can say that I do not know. I have forgotten more than your kind have professed to learn.
I was once sworn to him and his kin. People have seen him. He was an ugly fucker even before Isval dragged him onto that decrepit Carl's pyre. His son shared that visage. He looked like a pig rutted with a dead sow. He had eyes for my sister, Astrid. And somehow she had eyes for him. My sister didn't see him this way. He was as cruel as his father, but he lacked his old man's spine. He was cruel and cowardly, and he dishonored all his Scolfin with his bad faith and his greed. But my sister didn't see him this way. He was a snake. He thought that his father's name would protect him from retribution. He was a raper and a thief, and he dishonored my sister, and this holds me to account. It makes me remember. I would not have you take this from me.
So you would live all of your days hated everywhere that you go. I can ensure they hate you more. I can spread the word of what you did far and wide, that every longhouse shall sing of the coward, the thief, the outlaw, Wagner. Your reputation will be nothing, and it will not be Valhalla that you go to, nor the Hall of Freya, nor even Hell. It will be to Svartalfheim that you go, where some of my kindred, my dark kindred, dwell.
You see Vagnar's pupils dilate as he's given this promise. And he says, in your hands, I'm sure everything is nothing. You cannot take from me what I already don't have.
But I can give you what you do not have. I can wave my hand. You can keep the brand if you wish. I can change the story in the minds of all. But they shall think of Wagner not as a kin killer, not as a betrayer, but as a hero who did something noble, something necessary. That mark will be a badge of honor not a mark of shame.
And it would be a lie.
And you have developed a sudden aversion to lies.
I pick my battles, it's true. Ragnar is taken aback. This creature's knowledge of him is breathtaking. How would you give me this power?
Sigverka, you're underneath somewhere, and the binds that you're holding, they're loosening, or they're not as tight. You can hear this song still, this chanting, but it's quieter now. And it seems that the binds are a little bit less tight than they were as you kind of have relaxed, and now you can feel them sagging almost as you lie beneath wherever you are.
Feeling him slacking, he continues to give in to them till they're loose enough that he feels he could be able to slip from them.
You can start to pull your left arm free, although there's a root that goes through your forearm and comes out at your wrist. You have to pull slowly but surely. It releases. And as you pull it free, you can see that it wasn't really in your arm at all. It was some sort of illusion. You're able to pull it free and your arm is fine. You can do so with the other arm. And as you kind of realize that these roots aren't real and the vines aren't real and you have been here, you can step away from the wall. You're in a tiny earthen hut, something like that. There's a sort of glow, like the outline of a door ahead of you.
As he pulls himself free, there's a broad grin comes across his face as he looks back to where he was held, and then turns towards this glow, and the smile disappears. And a stern set look on his face, he makes towards it.
In the river, the thing, the beautiful woman, Ragnar, smiles. Although to you, Hvisla, this towering creature, you can see that one of the claws is digging a little bit into Ragnar's face, and there's a trickle of blood.
How would I give you this power? It is nothing to me. If I wish it, you would be a squirrel. You would be a rat, an insect. I do not wish it. I wish something else for you. I want to make a deal.
A deal?
A deal. Simple thing. I'll remove all of the hate. I will have people love you and sing songs of you, of your glory. All I ask is a small thing. There's a child that will be born. That child will be born to Hvisla. That child, when it is born, you will take it and you will place it in a forest. Any forest. And when it is done, you will simply draw a small symbol on its forehead. And in return, you will have all of the power, all of the glory that you could ever wish for. You will be greater even than Gunnar Gunnarsson, the first king.
If I am nothing, then why me? Why would you pick An oath-breaking, kin-killing cunt like me.
There is greatness there. The potential for it, certainly. And I see it in you. Can be done. And if I remove this burden from you, this great shame that follows you everywhere you go, you could be greater still.
Will you send me a sign when it is time?
When the baby is delivered unto me into the woods, you will know.
Ragnar looks down, or no, he can't. His face is still being held. He can't move. He can feel the blood trickling down his face. He can feel piss leaking down his legs. He's just pissed himself in fear. And he just stares into these void-like eyes, unable to see anything.
The woman smiles and steps forward and gives you a gentle kiss on the cheek, lingers there for a moment, and then pulls away. She walks as you look back down at the water and are fascinated with its flow once again.
She walks through the water. And walks in a circle around Sigrid. And then around Phelim. And then around you, Havisla. And then returns to Phelim. And you see it do the same thing. It reaches up and it grabs the face of Phelim and holds it so that he's looking right at it. And like, all you can hear, Havisla, is the chant over and over again, getting louder as well. And the more you try and listen to what it's saying, you can see its mouth moving. But the more you try and listen, the louder the chanting becomes.
Phelim, you are not of this place. You are not of this world. The gods here are meaningless to you. I am closer to what you know. In your lands, the great fires that are built, the wicker men that are burnt, the sacrifices on ancient stones, they are to my kind. You need not suffer here in this place. You need not tolerate those who speak down to you. You need not have them say that Phelim is too kind, that he is weak, that he cannot do what needs to be done. They do not fear you. And in this land, fear is all.
Those that once called me foreigner now call me Carl. It seems well enough an advancement so far for me. Don't see why it can't stay the same and move upwards.
So kind, so gentle, so understanding. They call you Carl to your face. They call you foreigner, outsider, weak. When you are not there, they whisper your name and they say that your belly is yellow. They say that you wear cuckold's horns, and even now, at home. I will not speak of your wife here. They say things about you everywhere. None of them flattering. You may call yourself a Carl, and they will say that to your face. But that is not what matters. It is what they say of you when you are far away. That is a reputation.
Phelan would kind of stop at that. As much as pride and status would want him to say otherwise, something about what this thing says feels true in some sense. He knows he's not the same kind of leader that most people are, that he's not the same kind of person that most people in this place are. They say these things now, but it doesn't have to be.
No, it doesn't have to be. I can change it. I can make it so the name Phelan makes even the mightiest warriors quake in their boots. Your name will be spoken of in legend everywhere. When you arrive at a city, it will surrender. Before you even arrive, they will hear your name on the wind, and they will throw down their arms. You will be the most glorious conqueror that has ever been seen here.
It's quite an offer. I'm sure there's something else, though. Things are not given freely, especially not in places like this.
It would have to be a deal, a compact. I cannot give gifts. There must be something in return. I ask a small thing. Trifling thing, really. The next child that is born to your line shall be named Dagron. Just a name, all I ask.
Just a name. That's it. Grant me all the power in the world for a name.
The next child of your line, be it your son, your grandson, your granddaughter, all the way down your line. The next child that is born will be named Dagron. That is all that I demand. And when that deed is done, you shall have all of the power.
Or and he goes to like ask why, but he knows that he's not going to get a straight answer from this thing. That the whys and hows aren't important. At least I imagine he would get a sense of that. It's only a name that you ask in return for such a great gift. Does not seem like much of a tough deal to make.
An acceptable deal. It must be a child of your line, a legitimate child. If you are in agreement, then I congratulate you, for you will become the mightiest conqueror that this land has ever seen.
Phelan would just nod. We'll see what happens then when the time comes.
This beautiful woman comes and she presses a kiss against your cheek. You think you can hear a whisper there in your ear for a moment before she steps away. She dances through the water again. She barely seems to disturb the water as she moves. And then she's in front of Sigrid. But Sigrid, you see a man, this incredible, enormous man. Perfect features. Ears slightly pointed. There are tattoos that run the length of his body.
Sigrid. You believe that your duty is your destiny. That your doom is to serve. What has it cost you already? You have no children. You have no arm. What else must it cost you?
It will cost me what the gods take.
And what if they take another arm, and a leg, and an eye, and a tongue, and your head? What will you have gained? What will they say of Sigrid? There was a shield maiden who failed in every possible way, who lies now in pieces, unremembered.
Sigrid shakes her head. She goes, "No. I do not do it for empty words. Here, to carry me to the hall of the All-Father."
And when the arm is taken that holds your blade, and you fall, weaponless, to the ground, do you think that your Carl will spend the time to bury you well? To give you a real funeral? To pour the mead, to sacrifice the animals necessary, to beseech your gods to bring you to their Valhall anyway?
Sigrid is just shaking with fear. You tell me lies. Phelan, he is a good girl. He would bury me well. But then she doesn't believe her. But she doesn't believe her words. I mean, she says them, but on her face, you can see her doubt.
In the village, with Odin's stone, those men and women you killed, they were left dead overnight. Not a burial, not a pouring of mead, not a sacrificed animal. Nothing. Do you think their souls waited there to be buried properly? No. The choosers of the slain do not wait for such. They saw those bodies, and they left them there, and those souls did not go up. They went down.
Her face twists. Much like Vagnar, she can feel her bladder give. Because he did that. It's true. And in my shame, I took the blow for him. Left them there. No honor. Some without weapons even. Their souls lost, unable to find their way.
You could be great. Look at you now, how pitiful a thing you are. A warrior with one arm. A shield maiden who cannot hold her shield. I can make that go away. I can give you a new arm. A strong arm. Mighty, so that you may protect those that you love. That you may protect those who you are sworn to protect. I do not ask much.
When he says that, or when he says that, she looks at his face, this godly, ungodly, beautiful face. What could you give me? You cannot stitch flesh where it has been taken.
Give me your arm.
And the man reaches down and he like takes your stump and brings it up to where his face is. He bestows upon it a kiss, and you can see this spiritual glowing hand form, and then the arm and the sinews and the muscle all forms perfectly immediately.
This could be the fate I bestow upon you. If you so wish. You can only ask. I would give you a fair deal.
She flexes this spectral hand before her face. No, I am beloved by Tyr. It is the gods. They wish that I should lose that hand. She looks pitifully at this man before her.
You think that Tyr loves you? Do you think that Tyr loves being maimed? Do you think that Tyr loves being a cripple? Useless? A god of war with no hand? Maybe for a god, that is something that he can overcome, but you cannot. He does not love you. If he loved you, you would still have your arm.
No, it has to be a test. Test of my faith. It has to be. And her mind is just scrambling because this thing before her, this man, is shaken the very foundations of everything she has grown up believing. You are lying to me.
I cannot lie.
And what would I have to do to once again have my hand? Lose my soul forever? Never see the halls, the long hall of Odin?
Nothing so grand. Nothing so demanding. A simple thing. You'll swear an oath to me. That when a tyrant rises, that when your companions become powerful, that all will love them and fear them. you will not be so affected, and you will see what they have become. And you, in their moments of glory, will simply do your duty and strike them down.
How? How can you know this?
I have lived since the dawn of time on many worlds of the Nine. I have seen things you cannot imagine. And the skeins of fate, the threads that the Norns weave, I have seen those too. Your friends, they have sold themselves to me for power. You will be the champion of honor, Sigrid. You will ensure that they will not reach their potential. You will ensure that honor and duty is done.
Sigrid's eyes drift from this beautiful man before her to her companions. She sees the wisdom in his words. She sees Phelim as weak and easily corrupted and taking power. Vagnar, she sees him as a man with no honor but useful as a tool. Visla, the witch. She's a witch. She turns back to the man. If they are truly corrupted,
I give you a gift. A small blade. This blade. This is the blade that will strike them down in the needful hour. Need only nick them. When their time comes, you will know. And you will do your duty, and in return, you will have an arm, you will have strength, and you will have the power that you need to protect honor.
Sigrid falls to her knees. She looks up and I swear it. And she puts out her hand to take the knife.
The man hands you this blade, short knife. Seems to be made of some sort of black stone. Looks like the edge is so sharp you can't even see it. He holds it, and then he licks the blade, the edge. And there's blood that runs along the edge and coats it before he puts it into a scabbard. Hands it to you. He kneels down next to you and he kisses you on the cheek. You think that there's a whisper there as well before he rises. Sigverka, you are at that glow. There's light coming from what you can now see is a large stone. There's symbols carved into this stone, swirling symbols all over. But it looks like if you tried, you could push it.
Run my eyes over the symbols for a moment to see if there's any resemblance to anything that I know of.
These are not runes, not the angular runes of the Allfather. These are something else entirely. These are the symbols of the Seath, of the magic of the Söngkona. kind of magic that you abhor.
So as my eyes linger on one particular pattern for a while, and I can feel the nausea begin to build, I'll turn to the side and push my shoulder into the stone and attempt to move it.
There's an audible and it falls forward flat. It knocks up some water that splashes. And you can see this stag just leaping through the river past these people as it disappears into the woods. People seem to be standing there stupefied, looking at their hands.
I'll splash on through the water towards them, staying wading through as I go.
Those of you in the river, you look up and the feeling clears. Feels like the past few minutes weren't there, like nothing happened. And you can see the stag bounding away into the woods away from you. And you can turn and see a figure. What does it look like, Jax?
It's a tall and broad man striding through the water towards you. You can see his face is smeared in soot, through which these ice blue eyes shine, feverishly yet cold at the same time, with a stern expression on his face. His long grey hair and beard hang down to his waist, the braids in them matted with both dirt and time, fixed with bone beads and leather strips. And with each small movement that he makes through this water, there's a hollow chiming clatter of 100 finger bones connected together with copper wire that make up his cloak.
This is what you see, those of you in the river. You can see this man come out of the mound. He seems to have knocked that stone, that big stone that you had seen with symbols on it, down. There's no throne on top of that mound. You feel like you remember there being some sort of strange tree. It's not there. Must have been something you imagined.
Wisla is silent, both arms wrapped protectively around her stomach. And her eyes scan up and down the river and across the grass and through the trees, searching for the hints of what she thought she'd seen. But it's gone.
You can see, Kavisa, as you look in that direction, you look briefly at Sigrid. Whole. 2 arms.
Sigrid. Oh, Sigrid. Your arm. What did you do?
But it's almost like there's just this brief memory of her hurting her arm. Did she ever lose an arm? Did that? There's a strange feeling that you might have seen that once, but it's misty, and it seems like she's a shield maiden. She's always had that shield. She's protected you many times, all of you many times.
Wisla, that question dies on her lips. She tilts her head to the side, the shield hanging from Sigrid's arm as it always has. And then she turns to look at the newcomer.
Sigrid is still on her knees, quiet tears just streaming down her dirty cheeks. When Havisla speaks to her, it's almost as if it's like in a dream itself. It's muted, garbled. Her tear-stained eyes are just looking down at this small knife sheathed in her hand. She just thinks to herself, what have I done?
I think Phelan would kind of just look around. He sees like the stag bound away. Even the memory of just what's hazy in his mind. But then he sees this man, and kind of snap to, I think, at that. Who are you? It's quite a strange place. Someone just yourself.
Svigger regards you for a moment and looks up skywards, sniffing the air. There's a rank scent of wickedness here. You smell it?
Forgive me, but I don't know what you're speaking about.
Hmm. You can definitely smell it.
I felt it for a moment. But it seems like a mist, like a fog that dissipates as the sun hits it. And I feel it no longer.
So Kverker reaches down to one of the braids in his beard and plucks it and holds it up to his nose. Oh well. Sigverkar's my name. Who are you, travellers?
I'm Carl Phelan from Ingvik. This is Ragnar, Sigrid, and Havisla.
I know that the mention of the names, really, you're not entirely certain whether he's remembering them or recollecting them.
What brings you to this strange place?
Well, I like to travel. I like to collect stories. And everywhere I go, I find a new story. Yes, I guess I am a collector of stories. And that's what makes me travel. And that's what brought me here.
So hearing this conversation between Phelan and Sigverker, it brings Sigrid back to her wits, and she smells her piss, and she realizes to her embarrassment that she has wet herself. She rises quickly, seeing this new man near her, Carl. Any chance, Lloyd, of her you said there's a stream or something right near us, right?
Yeah, you're standing in a stream.
Yeah, she would quickly just try to wash herself.
Yeah, you feel great, Sigrid. You feel strong and well rested and full of food. You feel amazing, actually, and the water feels incredible as you start to wash, and particularly on your arm, you can see the water sort of like dance, and you can see like the light catch it in strange angles as you like look and wash yourself clean.
So just so I'm clear, Sigrid has total memory of that brutal arm loss, right? That
yes,
doesn't fade.
You remember.
Okay.
So Sigrid remembers losing the arm, and she remembers the conversation she just had.
Okay, perfect.
Everybody else, that arm loss didn't really happen.
Yeah, it's like one of those things where you're like, was that a dream? Did it really happen? After a long night of bar hopping. You're like, what really happened last night? All right, cool. So yeah, she would just do that, and she would rise, and she would make it. I guess she would probably try to hide her embarrassment, by like using the water to like wash the mud from her face, and she would approach the man and stand to the side of the Carl.
All this time, Wagner has been just on his knees in the stream, feeling like Sigrid, the piss and dirt being washed away. And he brings his hand up to his cheek, and he looks, and he sees blood upon his fingers, verifying, at least to him, that what he'd seen had actually happened. And he looks as the blood trickles, diluted with the water of the stream, through his fingertips. And then he comes back to himself, and he stands looking at this stranger. And he slinks up to the side of them all, and he says, "Quite a distance to be out here on your own. Where have you traveled from?"
The question isn't where I've travelled from, it's where I travel to.
Wagner looks at this individual. It has not been that many days since they spoke to someone else who talked in riddles, and he looks with a suspicious glance at this man and then to Phelim. "What are your orders, Carl?"
He would just kind of put a hand kind of out towards Wagner of like, we don't need to do anything crazy yet. And look up to this man. Say you're a collector of stories, or so. What sort of stories are you attempting to find?
Every story. Stories of honour, stories of deceit, of love, death, birth. Stories of battle. Stories you can tell in the halls or teach to your children. Stories of heroes, I like personally.
Phelim would kind of eye this man up and down. Would he see like weaponry and what kind of equipment would he see that this man carrying? Clearly, he's physically of some stature.
Yeah, the equipment's fairly Spartan. He does have a cudgel strapped to his side, Just plain wooden cudgel, but there are bones inlaid into the wood, much like his cloak.
Well, there's a reason I ask. You seem like a man capable in some sense. You could always use more men. And in return, I can guarantee you plenty of stories and perhaps some money and food in that, if that's of any interest to you as well.
Scratches at his beard for a moment. He looks at the sky again. May I see your hand?
What kind of his face would become like obviously quizzical. Not sure why this question would even be asked.
Yeah. Sigrid would probably take a little step forward when he says that. She realizes she still holds this small knife in her hand, and she tucks it in her belt, and brings her hand closer to where her axe is.
Phelan would just kind of like, not even sure exactly like what you mean when you ask, "Can I see your hand?" Would just like hold his hand up, kind of turning it like confused.
As you hold it up, he puts his hand against yours, palm to palm, and brings his other hand up behind it, sandwiching it in the middle of his too, and stands there for a moment before dropping it, nodding his head. You have stories in you. I will serve you. I will serve you with strength of steel, willpower of the seasons, and Raven's wisdom of counsel. I'll be as loyal to you as a hound to your intentions and name. I will serve you well on one condition.
And what is that?
When the time comes, when death beckons you and takes you at Story's End, be it in battle or sickness or old age, before you are given to the dirt, the sea, or the pyre, I may take one finger bone from your weapon hand for my cloak.
And Phelan would be like taken aback by the like he was expecting like, all right, make sure you pay me well. Like I want to be well fed. I want to be a top war on money. I guarantee that like I'll have land and like all these. And then he just like gives this like huge, like just straight loyal and for like almost thing, like just this simple request. And he would be surprised at that, like not sure exactly how to respond for a moment, but yes, that's all you ask. It seems easy enough to grant. When my time comes, whenever that may be, you can take what is yours.
Sigvarkar's grin broadens, and he holds his arms out. Well then, let us make legends.
Cool. We're just going to take a short break there. At the first part of this session concludes. Hope you guys are having fun. I'll be back in 5 minutes.
Oh my god! That's all.
I can breathe now.
I think I've been holding my breath for like the last hour.
That was crazy awesome.
10 out of 10, Lloyd. And checks and everybody. Bloody hell.
Hello, if you're watching, hope you're having a good time. I want to give a shout out to Megan from Dice on Ice for talking me through that voice thing. Figured it out with her help, so that was nice, and I'm grateful.
What did you use, Lloyd? Because that was awesome.
Reaper?
It was Reaper?
Yeah, Reaper, and then you just have to download this extra program. It's actually really, really simple to do. The trickiest part is like making the voice and like getting those modulations right, because sometimes it's too deep and you can't hear, and sometimes it's too, trying to find something that sounds sufficiently creepy. But hopefully it sounded good.
I had no idea you were going to do that, and I'm sure the others did too. Yeah. When you came in with that voice, I was like, what the? It was awesome, man. It was perfect. It fit that scene so well.
Yeah, that was the hope. That it's weird in so many ways, and it's like it doesn't do justice to how weird the alpha are if they just sound like me. I think there's got to be something extra there.
And the scene where Chex's guy is like in that mound, all of the roots all twisting through his body, and that was just so visually that was just so awesome.
Yeah, it was distracted talking to you guys and using its power or whatever, and so there was a chance for Sigvarga to escape. And it was the harder that he struggled, the more that they would resist, and so like relaxing and letting it go. He had the alpha had to put less work in, and so that was the solution.
That was so great, and I love that freaking cloak. I mean, it's so macabre, but it's so awesome. I could just imagine it kind of rattles a little bit when he's moving around, and it's just like, how many warriors' finger bones does this guy have?
Yep. I was talking to Nico before this, and I was like, I wonder if any of them will go for the deal. 3 out of 4.
I had a sneaking, I had a sneaking suspicion that something like that might happen, just because I've heard about things like that happening in some of the other Iscloff games. But it's like, I'm surprised that Sigrid went for it. Like I can see everyone else's justifications for going for it, but that one caught me off guard.
It had to do a lot more manipulation though.
It was totally role play, because I went into it saying, I don't care what he does, Sigrid is not going for this deal. But man, you like hit all the weak points. I mean,
there had to be a lot more manipulation on Sigrid's end. I didn't think it took much at all to convince Phelim, but also he doesn't worship the same gods, so.
The final
exactly.
straw.
That was kind of my thing going into it. Was like, I don't like. It's not like I'm betraying Odin. Like I don't like. I only just basically say that I believe in Odin because everyone expects me to do that. But it's like there's not really that like deep down. That's not really what he feels. So it's like, oh, a being that like, as it said, like it reminds him of like his old gods from his homeland is gonna say like, here, you can be super awesome and badass. All you have to do is name your kid this name. Like, How could you not agree to that? Like, given his situation.
Because of the name, man. Did you hear the name?
It's just a small thing, you know. So that's how they get you.
Yeah, I don't know what that name means. So maybe out of character, I've made a terrible mistake. And well, 100%, I've made a terrible mistake. There's no doubt in my mind that I've made a terrible
Baby?
Read
But-
some mythology.
But that specific name, I'm not familiar with, to be honest.
It's an Islam throwback. Okay, so we're all back. I think.
We're all back, and some of us are rubbing our foreheads. Jeez.
So we all heard the music and the singing, right? So we remember that after.
You have that song stuck in your head to some extent, although you don't remember necessarily hearing it. So what I guess you would each remember is you walk past this mound, and then to you it seems like you had this weird conversation with a thing. Nobody else, like it happened in a blink, and then everyone was just back to normal. So like nobody saw it go to the other people. I was just describing that so you guys got a feel for it. But like it basically was like boom, 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 and like talked to all of you, and then you just saw a stag run through the stream. You all know that you made a deal. You talked to the thing, but nobody else has any idea that it talked to more than you. If that makes sense. So you would have probably made your way back to the ship, I assume. Is that what the plan is now? You have some men with you. Did you want to look in that dank cave?
So the reason that we came here initially was because that we thought that there might have been some treasure in this place. So I'm not sure if it would be obvious that this marking was just that this place was here and we misunderstood, or if like we would actually still want to look for things that might be here.
Well, I imagine there's a weird moment where you think you're the only one who had this strange conversation, and obviously you're not keen to share that. So everyone's probably standing around looking weird and uncomfortable, you know, as you stand there in the stream.
Yeah, I think Phelan would just turn to everybody. Well, we came here with promise of some treasure. Where do you think we should start looking first?
I call the cave. Though it is dark, my eyes are somewhat comfortable within the darkness. If it be your wish, I shall enter first.
Phelan would just nod.
Bagno draws his war sacks, and with careful footsteps begins to approach the cave.
You can immediately see that it's bigger on the inside than it is on the outside, and that like this chamber, when you first enter, you can see vines moving in the walls. They seem to be like moving like worms, but they're definitely vines and roots. Although you can see that it kind of like it's quite a large round room, which seems to be the mound itself. But beyond that, there is an opening. You would have to crawl, but there is an opening.
Ragnar's kind of like stoops down. He's sort of on his haunches with his elbows resting on his knees, just looking into the darkness. And he looks at these writhing roots. This is something that he's never seen before. This isn't ordinary, but then again, this isn't an ordinary day. And he looks over and he shoots a look at her Vizsla, and he just jerks his head, a motion for her to come and look.
Isla walks perhaps a little more cautiously, one hand still covering, just her forearm covering her stomach, hand wrapped around her waist. The other she tries to let hang naturally, trying to hide her discomfort. What is it, Wagner? What do you see?
Look in there. Wait a moment, let your eyes adjust. Those roots are moving. But there's a way in. Have you seen anything of the like before? Your kind are akin to such things.
That is unlike magic, I know.
Magnar just looks at her dead in the eye and he says, one day we'll find a use for you. And before she can respond, he enters the cave and gets ready to crawl through the hole, keeping a very, very watchful eye on everything around him.
So you crawl on your belly into this little opening. Initially, you're able to crawl like on all fours, but you have to eventually like get down onto your belly and like pull yourself through this little opening. There are bugs crawling everywhere. You can see huge centipedes and strange like worms and stuff crawling out over your hands and then back into the earth, the loose earth all around. As you crawl, and eventually then, I mean, it seems like minutes go by in this darkness. It's so dark even that you cannot see until finally you can see a light ahead. It's dark, but it's visible to you. And it opens up into a chamber. There are three sort of alcoves in this chamber, one directly ahead, one to the right, and one to the left. And in the center of this chamber, standing perfectly upright, there's a stick that's been like placed into the middle. There's a horse skull that's been placed on top of that stick. And there are all these strange little banners and like fetishes that hang from it. It looks like the kind of staff a Söngkona might use, something like that, standing there.
So Ragnar takes this in, his predatory eyes adjusting to this light after the long dark. And then once again, he crouches down and he barks through the hole and he says, "You may wish to see this."
So faint on the other side, so very faint. Seems like he's miles away, but you can just about make out the echo.
Visla sighs. Gets on her hands and knees and begins to crawl.
Similarly, it takes you a long time to get through, and it's hard to crawl in the dirt with the spiders and the creepy crawlies crawling all over you, in your hair, behind your ear, as you try and crawl through, until finally you come out the other side, and you can see exactly what it is, what I described, this strange staff standing there with the skull of a horse placed at the top and all these weird fetishes hanging from it.
And if these strange roots have no place in your knowledge, what of this?
Can make me
does it look
seat-wise.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. Does it look familiar? So that's gonna be a 18.
So you've heard stories about these. It's called a nithing pole. It's a sort of protector. You can place it here. You tell it the name of one person. When it sees that person, it will curse them and curse them and curse them. when it sees that person.
She, studying this, almost reflexively makes a sign of protection in the air. She says, "This is... It is a magic that is meant to curse a single soul. Whoever it is that comes here, the Nithing Pole."
Ragnar just looks at her with a blank look.
It's like a trap. You hunt, yes, but it is a trap set with the intent on cursing one person, whoever's name is spake.
He spits on the ground. Can you tell whose name is required?
Would I be able to tell that, or is that pretty far beyond me?
No, it would only be the person who made it. You know that these things last forever. It will sit here until that person arrives, or a person of their line arrives. It could be here for thousands of years. Yeah, you don't know. There's no way of knowing.
She shakes her head. Only the one who placed the curse could know.
It's been here a long time, then it's likely it wouldn't bear any name of someone who would live this day. Vagnar's going to do a survival check to see if he can work out how long this thing has been here. I know it's a bit of a push, Lloyd, so whatever you want to give me as a DC, but that's actually a pretty good roll. That's 16 on the die. That's 21.
So you don't think you know. You're like looking and you're trying to understand, but there's no signs of aging at all on it. The bones are white still, and the leather and stuff hasn't rotted, nothing like that. And you will see then as you kind of look around that there are, in these three alcoves, there are bodies like laying on these stones. They are lying as if they had died today.
We came here for treasure. If you do indeed possess these powers you continually go on about, step forth.
And do what? Conjure gold?
Maybe at that moment is when Sigrid crouches by the opening and she yells down. She goes, "What do you see? Is there treasure there?" And she would look back over her shoulder up at Phelim, looking for like the nod to like go in or to stay with him.
Yeah, Phelim would just kind of shrug. Say, "You can go if you want to. I think I'd rather not."
So she would wait a moment to see if Vagnar or Visla answer, and not hear. If there's no reply, then she would kind of just get down and start crawling along just to get to where they are.
You'll have to leave your shield where you are. There's no way it'll fit. But you can like pack the rest of your gear close to you and crawl through as well. It'll take a couple of minutes, but eventually you'll see Sigrid come out the other side. 3 bodies, one in each alcove. They're lying on these flat stones, and you can see that like they're like adorned as if they were being buried, which means that they're wearing their best clothes. They have things on them, weapons, jewelry, things of that nature.
As Sigrid arrives through the small hole, Ragnar just sighs and goes, "Ah, a sheep to drive before us."
Her nose would rankle at that. She would look around and say, This is someone's tombs. And she looks at these bodies, and maybe she's a little she's not a little, she's a lot bothered by the fact that they look like they were just laid here like today, which is not natural. She would look to Ragnar, not the witch, and say, This place is not right. We should go. We should go.
Came here for treasure, didn't we? There it lies.
It's not right to steal from the tombs of the dead.
We steal from the dead all the time, you stupid bitch. Just happens they've been laid out pretty.
She looks at him for a second longer before she looks at Avisla, and then she spits on the ground and she says, "No." And she would start crawling back. She wants no part of this. This isn't right.
So you can begin the crawl back then, away from this tomb.
And are you adverse to such activity here?
I tend to let the dead rest. However, I will not stop you.
The men were promised treasure. And he steps towards one of the bodies.
Which one? North, east, or west?
Is there a significance to any direction in mythology that I am not aware of?
I don't think so. They all look similarly adorned, in that they all seem like fairly well off.
Yeah. Ragnar just thinks to himself, rich bastards, and he goes to the nearest one, and I'll say that'll be the west.
So you can see this body then of a man. He's laid out. He looks fairly tall. He has red hair. And you can see the hint of like tattoos on his neck that go down into the chain that he's wearing, fine chain. Not a scrap of rust visible on this suit of chainmail. His skin almost has the blush of life to it, it seems. It's odd, unusual, and maybe a little bit discouraging. He holds between his hands a long blade, a sword, which is in itself a very valuable thing. He has around his neck a torque. Strange sort of mixture, it seems. Not quite gold, not quite silver, some mix of the two. Inlaid with various spirals and things like that. He lies on a shield. It's not a round shield like you would expect. It's like long and tall. You think it'd be relatively easy to like hide behind that shield. It's so big. On his finger, there is a ring, a simple golden ring that has at the sort of signet area a horse.
Ragnar is just staring at this this dead man, the light of life still somehow around him. And he finds himself not wanting to move closer. It is unnerving. And he goes, playing chicken with a fucking corpse. And he is going to go and he's going to try and whip the sword away as quickly as he can, as if like he's clearly unnerved.
Yeah. So you go to grab, but it seems like the hands are like rigor mortis around the blade. So you like pull, and then the body is like holding on, and as you pull quickly, it just onto the ground, falls with like a of chain.
Wagner just slowly turns around to look at Vizsla.
Vizsla started. That made her jump, and then she attempts, but doesn't quite succeed in hiding her bemusement.
Make yourself useful for once. Help me, this chain. It'll fetch a good price. This jewelry too.
And what do I get if I help you? You have no love for me.
I'm glad this is apparent. Carl orders us here for treasure. You will be following his orders.
I'll already follow his orders and watch out for his interests. You, strong as you are, surely do not need the help of little old me.
Vizsla, can you make me a perception check?
Oh, that's a natural one.
Never mind.
Shit.
Wagner just stares at Vizsla and his blood boils, and it's almost like he can hear the whispering echoes of a request, an order given to him about this woman that stands before him. He bites down hard and says nothing. Stands up straight, walks straight past her, and crouches next to the hole, and he says, "My Carl, there are many laid here. There are 3 laid here. They are bedecked in jewelry, finery, and have fine weapons. Would you have us take them? Both take them."
Seems the treasure too valuable to pass up. Swords and jewelry all fetch higher prices and boast high status. Take what you can get. I can send more people in if you need help.
Lloyd, has Sigrid made her way back out at this point?
Just about, yeah.
Yeah. So she would be getting up, and she would still have worms and other bugs crawling across her and in her hair. And she would just try to shake some out. And when she hears that, she would turn to Phelim and say, "Carl, it's not good to rob the dead. You curse yourself." And in the back of her mind, she hears this whisper that sounds vaguely like the man. And it says, "Corruption, power, not trusted." And she would probably have this strange look that would pass over her face really quickly as it kind of goes through her mind. And then she looks back at Phelim and says, "You cannot do this. You will be cursed by the gods. Do not take that which is laid with them."
We've done this 100 times already, Sigrid. We'll If it's important that they keep weapons, we can provide them with other weapons, but that's too much to pass up.
No. No, we do it with honor. We reave. This is the way of our people. This, and she turns and she points like a dirty finger at the opening, and she says, "That there's no honor there. Please, I beg of you, don't do this." And then she would just.
You can see now in the chamber, the leathers of the pole begin to move ever so slightly as if there is a wind.
Carl has given his order, Zeta. Let us get to it.
Visla mutters something under her breath about, going to Daddy, but it's not quite intelligible, and she helps Ragnar.
So you get down to the body. This man who looks to be in his 40s, maybe, and looks like he's asleep for all intents and purposes. Although it does take quite a bit of work to pry his fingers from that sword. It seems like a lot of work as you have to literally get a hand and pull the fingers back until there's a and pull them back from the blade. Eventually, it comes free and you can hold it. Excellent quality. The steel shines and sings as you wield it. It's perfectly weighted, and there's this beautiful filigree around the pommel and the hilt.
Ragnar is grumbling and he says, "No doubt they'll all be happy to spend the hack silver we make from such a prize. Where will their honor be then?"
The ring won't come off. You're trying to pry it off the finger, but it won't come off. It's stuck behind the knuckle, and you're struggling to get this gold, very valuable ring off, but you can't get it past the knuckle.
Our new friend, he likes finger bones.
Ragnar, it is one thing to relieve a corpse of its goods. It is another to desecrate it.
For fuck's sake, Zeta. The dead. As they said, the Carl said, we will leave weapons in their hands, if it please you and the gods. But this will serve our cause.
She shakes her head and moves up to the man's neck to see if there's a torque or a necklace or anything.
Yep, there's a torque that fits pretty snugly. You'll have to pull hard, and it'll crease badly the skin of his neck as you it to pull it off.
Yeah, Visla's grimacing as she does.
His face remains still.
Do we have less inexpensive weapons to leave with them in here with us, or do we need Sigrid or someone?
I don't think you'd have been able to carry much in here with you. You had to squeeze pretty tight to get through, so you wouldn't have a shield with you, definitely. And even a large weapon, like a big axe, something like that, would be difficult to get through here because the crawl is so difficult. So I think probably not. Certainly not weapons of equal value.
She'd kind of look at Ragnar, give him a bit of an up and down, and go, "Are you hiding the weapons you plan to leave in their hands somewhere?"
It's true, I carry what I intend to use.
I just wondered if that might explain your temperament.
The fuck do you know about my temperament?
Real quick, Lloyd, if someone went in there, crawled in there, and they were like maybe pushing a shield ahead of them with some rope, could that be used to like shuttle things down along the tunnel? You know what I mean? Like you would put stuff on the shield and use it to pull things along.
I know what you mean, but I actually think the shields you have are too big to fit, like width-wise. Yeah. So you're literally like pushing and pulling through like the width of your body, but your shield is significantly wider than your body would be.
Yeah.
So I actually don't think it's possible because of the fact that your shields are round, you know?
Yeah. How about a cloak or a sack?
Yep, that could definitely work.
A cloak, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, so Sigrid, you can like start setting that up if you like. Take a cloak and
actually,
tie it to
I was just asking, out of character. Sigrid is not going back in there. Phelim hasn't told her that she has to. She doesn't think it's right. She's not going back in. And well, she also has some other things going on, so she's not going back in there.
We brought a couple other people, if I remember correctly, with us.
Yeah.
If they were still within easy reach, I think Phelim would ask them, "Hey, some of you, get in there and see what you can help with. Bring a couple of the smaller things, daggers, hatchets, things that will fit. That way we have something to replace goods with at the least."
So if I remember correctly, you brought a decent chunk of people from Ingvik with you on this particular trip. You brought a couple of pirates, but you took a lot of the people who were with you from Ingvik. They would all refuse to rob a tomb. They would make apologies, but overall they would be not keen on the idea of robbing a tomb. The pirates, though, will like shrug and begin crawling.
When they arrive inside, Ragnar is just going to look at them and says, "Lay down all of your arms. We're going to need to ensure that they clutch at least one weapon each. You will be compensated before you complain."
So I think it's probably three of them that were able to come in here. As the third one kind of like enters and you say, they like look around and they see that you have a weapon and that Havisla has a weapon and they're like looking at themselves. Compensated. Can I have that sword?
No.
Then you give the sword.
You don't want this bitch to curse you, do you? See that skull there? That's what it's for. And now you're in here, with no way to escape its gaze. Drop your weapons. Intimidation.
It's a deception, I'm afraid.
That's true. That's fine. I think I can do better. I think. Let me check. Let me check. So that's 19.
So they stand up a little bit straighter and they look at the thing and they look at Havisla. And one of them says, "She'd curse him before she cursed us, right? That's what she would do." Like it's clear that they know that you guys don't get on, and there's like a look that goes between Havisla and then you, and then like amongst each other. So two of them fucking like grunt and like drop their weapons into the dirt. One of them is shaking his head. He's like leaning against the wall. He's got his arms crossed.
Is there a problem?
She didn't make that. That's not. He looks at Havisa and then looks back at you. That's not God's work.
So first, are you? Go ahead, Taylor.
She just Ragnar is telling at least a partial truth. That is intended to curse. I did not make it, but that is indeed its purpose.
So why hasn't it done it yet?
Maybe it has. Who can say? It is designed for a single person.
They pick up their weapons. If it's just one of you, should be you, Captain. They say, looking at you, Wagner.
Ragnar looks at Vizsla like he wants to kill her. She fucked it right up.
She gives him this look like, I'm not gonna lie to him.
I'm going to ask you one more time.
If you're getting the fancy sword, you should leave your sword here. If I'm getting the fancy sword, I'll leave my sword here.
All that we take will be put before the Carl, and he will divide it fairly as he has done so before.
Yeah, but when it comes to fairly, you get more fair than we do.
Because I do a fuck ton more work, you stupid cunt.
Enough with the dick measuring. Now, if you can put it in your pants, perhaps we can get back to the task at hand. First, we will strip the corpses of the valuables. Then we can deal with the weapons. Ragnar is again partially right. You will be compensated and you will not be left weaponless.
They look amongst each other. The one who had refused to put his weapon down before still looks unhappy about the situation. He looks around this tomb and he can feel something is wrong. You can see it in him. He doesn't want to be here. All right. And he and another one go over to the body in the north, and the other one goes over to the body at the east and begins the process of taking bits off.
Ragnar returns to his work. Yeah, like Vizsla quite rightly said, he is actually going to wait till last before they deal with the weapons.
So you get the... are you going to cut that guy's finger off to get the ring?
No, yeah, I'm going to wait till we have everything else.
Okay. So you can take his shoes if you like. He's got decent boots. He's got a pretty decent undershirt that's padded a little bit so you can wear it under your chain. He has decent leather bracers on his arms. The others are similarly adorned, although this is the only one with a sword. One in north has a finely made spear, and the other has an axe. Also beautifully wrought with filigree on the blade. They take the chain and they pile it. They have cut off fingers to get at rings. They have looked in mouths and torn golden teeth out. They have been fairly shameless in how they have gone about taking things from these bodies. Yeah, one of them looks under the band, the bracer, and sees that there's an incredible, skillful tattoo there, and he takes his knife and cuts that and takes the skin with the tattoo and puts that into a bag as well.
So everything is taken bar the ring,
And the weapons.
and the weapons. Yeah. And
No,
Vagnar.
you haven't sent them through yet, right? They're all still in the tomb.
Correct. Yeah. Now the weapons. If you'd be so kind.
Why don't we draw straws?
We had just discussed this.
Listen. We're in a tomb here. They're not going to be happy about this. What if something goes wrong? What if that thing curses us? I want my weapon in my hand.
The fuck you think you would do with a weapon against a curse?
Well, if it kills me, at least I'll go to Valhalla.
Rest assured, if you die, it'll be with a weapon in your hand. Do it.
You have two.
Vagnar looks over to Vizsla.
As I see it, Vagnar should leave one weapon. And the three of you can draw straws to see which two leave theirs. My dagger I need for rituals. I cannot leave it behind.
Oh, you can't leave your weapon behind. Very interesting.
So the three of them play a sort of game. I guess it's a bit like paper, rock, scissors, and they're trying to figure out who has to do it. And one of them like lets out an actual like yes when he realizes he's won, and he like stands at the entrance to the tunnel with his weapon like clutched in his hand, while the other two like place their weapons next to the bodies and then go to like take the weapons from the bodies.
Vagnar looks down at his what's on him at least, and he pulls out his two flint daggers and he looks upon them. These are the daggers that earned him the name Fell Hand, and he'll be damned if he'll be leaving either of them behind. He also will not be leaving his war axe that was given to him by the Carl. So he reaches into his belongings and pulls out a sling. And he looks at them and he says, "A weapon in the right hands," and casts it onto the floor where the rest of them are.
Ragnar. Odin's beard, that does not count.
It's a fucking weapon. If you're not going to leave your pissing sacrificial dagger, be damned if I'll be leaving mine.
It's on your head.
Do you want to see what can be done with this? No, I didn't think so.
Are you going to kill a squirrel?
I saw a man lose an eye to a sling once, what the guy said.
Beasley gives him a dirty look.
Right shot, you can kill a man. Or would you rather I leave the rock?
Might as well leave both. Unless
Fine.
it's too great a sacrifice for you.
Vagnar grabs a rock from the ground, puts it in the sling, puts it on the dead body in its hand. There's mine.
Yeah, one of the guys goes over and places his axe into the hand of the dead. And the other goes and places his axe there as well.
If it please you, Seda, we will not cut the ring from this fallen hand. He looks at him once again. The man that he was shedding of his belongings, his red hair, makes him think of Phelan.
tilts her head and kind of narrows her eyes with a quizzical look, but just nods.
So what's going first?
The loot.
Which loot? It's too much to send all at once.
For God's sake.
Isla looks at the nervous men, and she nods at one of the ones who left his weapon. Go.
Nope, I'm not going first.
Then I will go first.
And what are you taking?
I think she just has the torque.
Okay. So you get onto your belly and you crawl through that hole again. And as you like get through the opening and start to crawl, a wind picks up in the tomb and there is a scream, thief, 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 over and over again from the horse's head. It screams so loudly, thief, thief, thief. It like hurts even to hear it. This wind whips up, and like the leathers like swirl around this horse head, and it screams again and again, thief, thief. And you can see twitches in the fingers of the dead. And we will roll initiative.
Fuck's sake.
But I'm already partway down the thing, right?
Your face and arms are in the thing.
I'm still gonna be first out.
Is that something that the rest of us outside can hear? That
You think you would hear this in Ingvik? It's so loud.
Yeah, oh, it's that loud. Yeah, I just didn't know if it was
unbelievably
something isolated to the chamber. Yeah,
It's so loud. You think that they probably heard it in the nearest village. It's so unbelievably loud. It's like when you are standing underneath a house alarm that's going off, and you can't even hear it. It's so loud. You know, it's like boom, 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 boom. So loud.
so Sigrid is still there, but Lionel would be like halfway to gone.
Can you guys outside roll initiative as well? Sorry, it's taking me a second here. Yeah, and then the boys. Finger twitches, and then you hear it like snap into place after it had to be pulled out of it to get the sword out. As it like breathes out, you can see that the image that was projected, it seems, or something was happening. It fades, and this is a rotted corpse. very visibly ancient. The skin hanging in loose sort of rags from the bones as it begins to like rise. It reaches out towards the thief. It moves in that direction. It moves past you, Vagnar, like as if trying to walk through you. It just like tries to bash you aside, going directly for Havisla. You can make an opportunity attack if you wish.
A thought dances through Vagnar's mind. He could leap back, he could grab her, he could cast her back into the chamber and use that time to make his own escape. But then he remembers that voice. And he launches his attack at this fell creature. I was in the midst of pre-rolling my attack, Lloyd.
Oh, good.
16.
16 will hit.
Excellent. Do I get my sneaks? Or is it just no? It's just standard attack for an opportunity, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah, that's fine. That's still not bad. That's 9 points of slashing damage.
Okay, excellent. It moves past you. You like slash into the shoulder of this thing, and there's like dust that comes from like the bones as it like moves forward. And you, Havisla, feel his hand grab your ankle with just an insane force and strength, and it just pulls you back into the chamber and flings you across the room, so that you fly and like hit the opposite wall. You can make me a dex save, please.
19.
Sorry?
19.
19. Okay. Yeah, so you'll only take 4 then, bludgeoning damage as you are flung across the room, but you land well. And it immediately turns and it turns its head to the side and just begins advancing in your direction again. Sigverker, you can hear this scream of thief, thief, thief over and over again, and you can start to see this like mist rising and this unnatural cold comes over this place.
Sigverker, who's been sitting down drawn in the dirt this whole time, as the mist kind of rises out, the tunnel, he waves his hand through it, feeling the coldness of it. And as his alarm rings out, he stands up, unclips the cudgel from his side, from the leather tongs. And I'm not actually going to do anything at the moment, but I believe, so I apologise because this is new to me, all this. The Berserk Gang option where you can spend your 2 hit die.
Okay. Let me see. Let me get it open. What's it called?
It's under the Berserk Gang. If you're in desperate need, you can activate your Berserk Gang more quickly.
Yep, I know what you mean.
Spend 2 hit die. Well, sorry, it's 2 hit die for current level. Spend a full turn doing nothing but railing yourself up.
Okay, so you begin the process of getting yourself into the Berserker Gang.
The quick question, does that work like Rage? Rage has got something if you don't get hit, isn't it?
It should say in it, but it's not necessarily like Rage. There is an option within the Berserker Gang that is like a Rage, more like a Frenzy, but this is kind of like you getting yourself into like a state. I don't think you have to be hit or do damage for it to continue.
Okay. I'm good.
Okay. Vagnar, you can see this creature flings Havisla across the room like she weighs nothing, and you can see the other 2 twitching and rising.
Vagnar rushes across the small dimensions of this tomb, and he slides on his knees to get in front of this shambling fiend, in front of Havisla, blocking its path towards her. As he does so, he makes a strike. He hits the same with a 16. And if he gets his sneak, that'll be 18 points of slashing damage as he rips the blade across it as he slides past it.
Yeah, perfect. It hits and it slashes through some of the bones, and you can see dust and things like that like come from the wound, but no blood. Where'd that list go? Here he is. Havisla.
So I actually had an 18. You missed me on the on the
shit.
list.
Sorry, then go ahead.
That said, while I say that as a correction, I'm not actually sure what I can even do here. I'm so far away. Yeah, and all my abilities require me to be like close or at least be able to see them, which I'm guessing at this point is I can't see, nor would I be close enough to them to affect them with anything.
I think it's see or hear, but because of the scream of that thief thing over and over again, they wouldn't be able to hear you.
Yeah, I think Phelim's just going to like clutch at his gear, his shield, his axe, to make sure that he's ready, in case anything happens out here. But don't think that he would be able to make it through the tunnel, in time to even do anything. Like it takes so long to get through.
Okay, so you stand there almost helplessly as you hear this like rattle of the dead inside and the constant scream of thief. Wisla.
Wisla throws down the torque for starters. And she is, at the moment, is with Vagnar in front of her. She'll. You said I can only use a spear, right?
Yeah, it's the only thing you're proficient in because that's what Odin uses.
Okay.
Well, you
So
can
she
use
has those
simple
little-
weapons, right? But like
Okay.
your martial weapon proficiency is for spears.
Yeah, okay. So she's got this little kind of, similar to Vagnar's actually, this kind of flint-style dagger that she uses for different rituals. And she pulls it out, and she's going to ready an action. If someone comes into melee, she'll defend herself.
Okay. Okay. The one in the eastern alcove rises and like sets his neck back into place and begins moving, eyes searching for those who stole from him, and is going to approach one of your pirates. Oh. Okay, so he walks up to this pirate and who's like backing away, and he's like backed up against the wall, and this thing, this afterganger, this thing that should not be, walks up to him and shoves his fist into the chest of the pirate, like through the rib cage, and like just pulls and like is slowly pulling. There's this gore, and it seems like it's got a grip on his spine and is pulling it. This insane strength and violence, and he's just screaming in agony before he just flops. And once he dies, it throws him across the room. Sigrid.
The hackles on the back of, or the hairs on the back of Sigrid's neck just instantly go up. She reaches for her axe and shoves her arm into the bands of her shield. She looks at at this small tunnel, knowing she can't get in there. She looks at Phelim. And I don't know if she'll. Oh, shit. She's indecisive. This is not Sigrid. She looks at Phelim. What would you have us do? And then she gets an idea. She tosses her shield down. She says, quickly, throw me a rope.
Yeah, one of the men nearby throws you a rope.
And she tosses her axe down along her shield. And she takes a knife that she has stuffed in her boot, and she starts wrapping it to give it some weight, and she starts crawling down this tunnel. I imagine it's gonna take a little while, but what she's gonna do is try to throw it down there, then they can use it to like hopefully pull people out quickly.
Gotcha. Okay, so I'll let you rush through the tunnel, but you have to take damage and risk collapsing the tunnel. Otherwise, you'll do it slowly, which would be 10 rounds.
10 rounds? Nah, I gotta do it. I gotta save these guys.
Okay, So you're rushing through, like trying to get through this tunnel quickly, and there's like as your shoulder hits the thing, and then like you like scrape your stomach over this sharp rock that you would have seen if you were going slower. You'll take 7 points of bludgeoning damage as you like move your way through, and it's a percentile. Okay. The tunnel does not collapse upon you as you're like rushing through, and you get about halfway through. You can see at the other end insanity. You can see the wind and the mist, and for a second you just see this scream and this spray of blood just onto the ground in front of where the opening is.
Oh, I imagine it sprays so much that as your head comes up through this opening, it just goes across their face.
There's blood absolutely everywhere, like more than it seems would be possible. The third of these creatures wakes behind you, Habisa. You were thrown across the chamber by the first. This one rises behind you. Leave. And it's going to try and punch you. It's 15 and a 23.
Yeah, those will both hit.
Oh boy. It's going to be 26 points of bludgeoning damage.
Holy shit.
From 2 punches. It reaches and just the first one collides with you, and it's this force, the likes of which you've never felt before. And then the second one slams into your leg as well, and you can feel this agony as it punches down with its bony fists. The pirates are broken and fleeing. They both are fighting to try and get into the tunnel, and they can see Sigrid there in the tunnel, and they're like, get away, get away! And screaming and trying to get away from this horror that they're seeing. One of them is crawling in, and he's like crawling in. So you're like not quite at the end yet, Sigrid. He's crawling in, and he's trying to like push you out of the way. And he's just screaming. The other one's like trying to climb in behind him. They're frantic and terrified. The first stands over you, Havisla, and looks down stupidly, but it turns its head all the way around behind it to look at you, Wagner. And its body follows a second later as you've been smacking it. It's going to try and grapple you. I'll need you to make an acrobatics or athletics check, please.
That'll be acrobatics for me. That is 18.
He got 18 exactly. It's as the aggressor. You like try and leap out of the way, but the last second he manages to like grab a hold of your wrist, and he like pulls it close to him. You can smell like the fetid breath of death, this stink as he like breathes into you, and he's going to try and crush your wrist. 13 bludgeoning damage as he crunches down. I need you to make a grit check not to drop the weapon in that hand.
I have proficiency in grit. Let's see. 19 on the die. Let me look.
Excellent. Okay. So you're able to hold on to it despite the crushing pain as he holds your wrist. Okay. Sigurd. Checks?
Sorry, I was muted.
Good.
He grabs the rope, wraps it around his forearm, and waits for a signal.
Okay, perfect. So you're waiting to pull people through. No worries. Wagner.
He basically thrusts all of his strength or dexterity, I guess, to try and twist from this creature's grip, first of all. Is it opposed? Whatever, yeah?
Oh, yeah, to escape, sorry. Yes.
Yeah, please. Please, I want to escape. That's
DC
one
16.
That okay, I get out with a 17. That was lucky.
Okay, excellent.
So, how much of that of my action does that take?
It is your action to break out of a grapple.
Okay, so he basically does his best to try and shove it away as far away from him as he can, and he sweeps that chain shirt off the ground, thrusts it into Havisla's chest, and pushes her towards the hole, and he says, "Go!"
Okay. The thing like looks stupidly as you like push it away, and then like looks back at you. These dead eyes, determined that you will not leave this place. Phelim, you can hear screams, brutal screams of agony from that chamber, and there's like an actual sound of like crunching bone and of spraying blood. It sounds awful.
Yeah, Phelim knows that with like Sigurd already in the tunnel, bringing the rope, what the plan is. So we see Sigverker twist the rope in his arm and ready. And Phelim's just going to kind of duck behind, grabbing the slack behind to assist the pull to try to get people out as fast as they possibly can.
Okay, it's just readying. Havisla.
Havisla is fumbling. She's bleeding badly. She's pretty sure she has a couple of broken ribs, but she's fumbling desperately for something in a small pouch, and she pulls out a little, almost a wooden slice, and she scratches into it, and she hands it to Vagnar. She says, "Here, show it to them. It will protect you." And then her movement is going to be to make it out. But she has just given you, it's got the void room of, I'm not going to say this right.
Gidungaga.
That one. And if you boldly present it using an action towards dead creatures, if they fail a charisma saving throw, they have to stay at least 5 feet away from it. And they can't touch or make a melee attack against you.
Perfect. Excellent. So then you try and run. The one who's on you is going to try and punch you as you go. But it's sort of a lazy attempt, and you like run and you can feel the of air behind you as you run through the chamber and try and make for the tunnel. You can see the two, like one of the pirates is like squatting and he's already got his head in, and the other one is like up to his like hips. So they're both trying to be in the tunnel at the same time, both screaming in terror at what they've seen.
Take turns, damn
it! Okay, the Afterganger is going to turn then and look at you, Havisla, and follow you across the room. It's going to walk past you, Vagnar. You can make an opportunity attack if you like.
As I roll an 8 and might... Oh no, hang on. 9, 10, 11, 12... 14?
Nope, not going to do it.
Shit.
So you go to stab, but you go through 2 of the rib bones, and there's no damage done as you pull your blade back. It like continues to move forward towards you, Havisla. It's going to try and grab you. I'll need you to make athletics or acrobatics, please.
Jeez. No, that is not a success. Damn it.
What did you get? He didn't roll well.
5.
Okay, he rolled better than that. So you're like at the tunnel, you're like screaming at these pirates to get out of the fucking way and go one at a time, and all this chaos. And you can see Sigrid like crawling up the tunnel, and she's looking up in like bewilderment that they're all crowding the tunnel. And then you feel this like hand on your shoulder, and it grips into your shoulder and pulls you back into the chamber. And you are grappled. Sigrid.
I will use my reaction.
Oh yeah?
I gotta find where it is. There's a lot of spells on this list. I have one that's a reaction that removes one condition on me. One of those could be grappled. I don't remember what it's called. I don't remember where it is, but I have that. Sorry, okay. It's all brand new this time.
Can you find it?
Yes. The song which shall set me free. 4th secret song of Odin. I can use my reaction to spend a hit die and remove one of the following conditions for myself, including grappled.
So you sing that secret song, that ancient song of Odin, that his fourth spell. If men make fast and chains the joints of my limbs, when I sing that song which will set me free, spring the feathers from hands and feet. And they do. It lets go, like almost like rebuffed, like the hand just like plunges away from you, and there's this strange noise as you finish the chant, and you're no longer grappled. Sigrid.
So again, I'm face to face with this pirate, and there's another one jammed right up his ass behind him. But I see Hvisla basically almost grappled by one of these things. Holy shit. She's just gonna look at this pirate and say, "Get out of the way." And if he doesn't move, then she's going to like move him. In a bad way, like shank him, like Jack says.
Yeah, well, you have that dagger at the end of your rope, so you can. That's probably the only weapon you could use in here.
Yeah, well, it's the only one she brought.
Yep, it's still gonna be with disadvantage because you have literally no room, so it's literally going to be like, but still.
All right. Doesn't matter when you roll shit both ways. I got an 11 and 11.
Okay. I'm tempted to remove his dex bonus because he can't dodge. All right. Yeah. So you get him with it, just this into the shoulder, and he like looks at you like, get out of the fucking way.
Yeah. So that's 6 piercing damage. She just drives it into him. She's trying to hit right up under his chin to just end him quick. So she'll do it again. Wow, this is much better. Two 19s. It's faded.
Yeah.
So that's going to be another 6 piercing.
Okay. So he like begins to back away, and he's like trying to move out, and the guy behind him is like, "What the fuck are you doing?" As he like moves out of the way, and then that one like goes to look down into the hole, and he sees you with like a bloody dagger, and he's like, "Oh, fuck!" And he like goes and tries and hides in the chamber. He like moves to the side of the door where one of them was, away from the dead, and the way is open to you.
Perfect. She is actually going to action surge, and she's going to throw her arm with her new hand around Hvisla, and she, with her other hand, she's going to tug on the rope.
Okay, so a bunch of things happen all at once. You like get the rope in place, and then as you tug, Sigverker and Phelim, I'll let one of you make an athletics with advantage.
Go for it.
5.
Sorry?
25 with advantage.
Oh yeah, no hassle. So the insane strength of the berserker, there's just this like as you're pulled into the tunnel. Now, did you go into the room, Sigrid, or did you stay in the tunnel?
It's not graceful. I figure she lunges, probably grabs Hvisla right around her leg, so she gets pulled down, slam onto the floor, and it's probably not a pleasant journey back out this tunnel as we're getting yanked out.
Yep. So you're holding onto Hvisla's like ankles as the thing is wrapped around your new arm, and you're pulled through the tunnel. Hvisla, you need to make me a dex check not to break both your arms as you like.
I'm gonna use one of my skeins of fate and say that she automatically rolls actually a 19 on that. So
okay, so you're able to like tuck quickly. And make yourself small as you're pulled with this insane strength most of the way out of the tunnel. Sigrid, your legs are now sticking out of the tunnel at the end, and you're quite a distance away now from the dead and the screaming. You can hear it still. Oh, God, save me! Just all these terrible sounds from inside the chamber, and still the scream, thief, thief. That was Sigrid. This other afterganger is like where the pirate is. He's like standing at the wall. And he's like looking, and it looks at him, and he walks over to it, and is going to try and murder him. Yeah, not pretty. So it reaches for him, and it grabs his face and just takes his head and smashes it into the wall of the tomb, and then again, and there's nothing left, just goo. And you can hear again the sort of the scream, and then the scream, and then just and then nothing. There's only one pirate left in there, and he's like on his back flag now. You can see he's like pushing himself away from this thing. He is on his turn going to try and crawl into the tunnel as quickly as he can, and that's what he's going to do. Try and get in there. This at the top of the order. This thing looks at you, Wagner. It looks to where Havisa has gone and like follows to the tunnel. And like it just begins like with its hand digging, like pulling big chunks of earth out of the way, trying to follow. Sigverker.
Did you say Sigrid's legs were sticking out at my side of the tunnel?
Yeah. Yep.
So I guess the rope is slacking while I grab onto the legs and pull both of them through.
No worries. I don't even think you need to make a check for that. I think you're well capable of like pulling the people through, and you're able to pull them, and they can see light finally, but you can still hear those terrible, terrible noises. Wagner.
Ah! Wagner charges forward, and he has this shard of wood that Havisla had cast to him, and in the desperate panic, he is just clutching it in one hand, his blade in the other, and he's just going to shove this thing in the face of the one that's trying to get into the tunnel.
Okay. I'm going to need you to roll me percentile to see if Odin cares.
Oh, great, my best friend.
For all of your crimes against him.
All of my crimes. That's 97.
Okay, that's good.
Is it?
So you present this thing, and the thing like looks at it, and you can see like its one eye like focus on it for a second. I'm going to roll saves for it, and for the others as he presented.
I guess whatever.
DC 14 charisma.
I'll tell you what I just rolled: a 1, a 5, and a 6. That's what just happened there. Fuck's sake! What kind of undead bullshit is this? So the Allfather is too powerful. It looks at it and it just recoils and like moves away. And you can see even like as you present it, it seems to like be melting the flesh from the bones, and it like moves away quickly from you. The other two like move into corners and like try and get away as quickly as they can.
Wagner is making sure he's scooping up. I mean, he had some of the jewelry on him, but he's basically just shoving what he can into the tunnel and then backing his way in, holding this thing in front of him and trying to arch his way backwards out of this place.
So like the thing moves away from the tunnel as it like was digging, and you kind of present this thing to it, and it moves away, and you're able to like very slowly like push yourself backwards.
Cunning action, I go even further.
Yeah, there's this desperation. There's like this hand is out, and you're just pushing yourself with your other hand and trying to get away. And you can see the three of them like looking down the tunnel occasionally, and like you'll see these three heads like pop in and then like move away again until you have made it out into the chamber where everyone else is. Effectively, we're out of initiative because they can't get you at the moment.
Are the others coming? Phelim says, not knowing.
He just looks at Phelim with a look that could kill.
Lloyd, is it still saying thief, thief, thief?
Over and over again, yep.
Oh my
and
gosh.
You can hear the of digging.
Oh my gosh. When Sigrid now that Sigrid is out, and I guess that other pirate makes it out, and then Wagner?
He doesn't make it out.
Or he's not out yet?
Oh, he went first. Yeah, he would have made it.
Yeah. You pushed that pirate aside. I love it. So she would have retrieved her shield and axe, and so she just goes over towards Phelim and says, I told you it's not right. Punished by the gods. and she's just nervous. She's scared. This isn't like fighting a mortal thing. I mean, she
We'll have
saw
time to
these.
talk about that later, Sigrid. We have to get out of here now.
She nods. Yeah, well, I'm not gonna have to tell me twice to run.
So is the plan to run with what you've got and leave all that beautiful treasure inside?
We can take them. They will be crawling out. We can execute them as they approach.
Well, so Sigrid wouldn't know this, but Ragnar, when you were hitting them with your weapons, did you feel like it was doing anything to them?
I don't really know. It felt like he was cutting through them.
So when you say that, Sigrid would spin on you and say, "You can't kill what is already dead."
He looks to Phelan.
So at least see that you have like the sword, right? I think that would be pretty obvious.
Yeah, I think definitely the sword was taken. There was at least one set of chain that was brought as well.
I have that.
And yeah, and there was a torque and like whatever little bits of jewelry that Ragnar stuffed into his pockets before he left.
And Phelan would like see the finely crafted sword, the chain, and then just the pounding in his head of just thief, thief, thief over and over again. And like he's like literally heard bones and crunch all the way through this massive tunnel. So he would just look to Ragnar and be like, "We already have enough. And if what I've heard is, I don't think we want any more."
Ragnar doesn't say anything. He looks at the assembled crew with daggers in his eyes. He is not happy. Gathers up what he has, and he storms off in front of, on the way back.
So outside, into the stream, and you can follow it down back towards where you had left your ship on the shore. Is that where you're going to go?
That's where Vagnar's going.
That was the plan, yeah. Just to get get out of here.
So you travel all day, I think at an increased speed, moving as quick as you can, probably. Are you going to rest at night? It'll take you like 2 days to get back to the ship. No, sorry, it's 1 day because you sailed most of the way up the river.
It's like a loaded question.
It's just a question, and I need an answer.
I'm trying to think of one.
I think it's up to our Carl.
Visla looks at Phelan, and you can see that she is pale. She's lost a fair bit of blood. She's holding her side. At least 3 ribs are broken. It seems like her shoulder might be dislocated. And she goes, "I will continue if that is your wish, Carl." But she looks terrible.
Sigrid would help you. She would like put an arm under you and help carry you along.
You find that you're not tired, Sigrid, not like the rest of them. They seem to be exhausted, but after the day's walk, march even, you find that you seem to be all right. And even carrying Havisla that whole way, you seem to be in good shape.
Oh God, I think Phelan would. No, those things are still coming. I don't think that they will stop. We need to get to the ship and we need to leave. I want to be done before they can.
You're cutting out there, Jeff.
Yeah, Phelan wants to keep going. If these things are chasing, he doesn't think that they're going to sleep either. So he wants just to get to the ship and to set sail and to be long gone.
Okay. So you continue through the night then, through the woods and the darkness. You think at one stage you see a stag watching from atop a hill as you like move quickly through the woods back towards your ship, following the stream as it widens into a river. Finally, you get to that little sort of lake that you had left the ship at. You can see there's a couple of Like fires there as the crew are like sitting there and waiting, and you can make your way back onto the ship.
And Phelan will waste no time. He would just try to rally everybody together and try to set as soon as it was physically possible, at least to get the ship moving. Once they were back out onto the seas.
Yeah, you get the ship moving as quickly as possible. The rowing begins, and you try and make your way out into the ocean itself. And maybe it's an hour or two before you're out at the sea that you kind of take a breath. Although you feel like you can still hear that ringing of thief in your mind. It was so loud and so crushing.
Wisla, finding a seat and trying to catch her breath at length, would look to catch Vagnar's eyes and beckon him over.
He looks at her and like he's probably like on the far end of the ship width-wise. He's on the other side. And he's looking at you as he's like clutching his side still from where he took a crushing impact from this fell creature. And he lets out a breath, gets to his feet, and walks over, and he just stands in front of you.
Thank you, Vagnar. You undoubtedly saved my life. And although you could not know it, you saved 2 lives. I told Phelan this, but I am with child. And so I am doubly grateful to you.
As Visla's saying that, he doesn't see her face, he sees another woman's face. A hand upon his cheek. And he looks down and he just gives a nod and he looks at you directly in the eyes and he says, "Don't get used to it." But quietly, there's no bite to his words as he slinks off.
And what's the plan now, Carl?
So at this point, we'll gather the trusted people of them, the other party members, and God, I can't remember his name. The other guy who's got at least some status.
Hauk?
Yeah, how I'd say at this point, between the sword, the ring, the torque, the 2 torques that I have on my own, anyways, hopefully some reputation at our back. I think it might help to buy some new friends, as it were. We'll need more than this if we're going to actually set out for our true goal of defending Ingvik from war. But we have quite a stash built up from what we've gotten. I think that could buy and that good quality at that. To find such people. What do you all think?
I mean, I'd answer, but I don't think Wagner was there. He was talking to Vizsla. I mean, unless he'd hear you, but...
Visla would kind of nod and say, "That seems a wise plan."
Sigrid is noticeably silent. She's just standing by the prow of the boat, kind of her back to what do they call the thing at the front there? That the way the dragon is, or the
prow.
Right, that's right. Okay. So she's leaning it back against the prow, and she's just watching. Phelim whispers in the back of her mind.
Any other opinions? He says, kind of noting Havisla's response.
Magnar just scowls.
Perhaps after you've had some time to rest. You've had the tougher day than I have, he admits. We'll speak in the morning then, but for now, that will be my plan. We'll head towards Gunland, I think. See what we could find.
Hauk would nod. There's always mercs in Gunland. Crews who make their money fighting other people's wars. It's a good place to go.
Perhaps the best spot to find people who will be able to do such a thing. We have good money, and we can promise, hopefully, much if we're able to beat Uthal. Be plenty to satisfy a good crew. We'll make way for Gunland then.
So it's agreed, and the crew begins to row out to the deeper ocean and then unfurls sails and heads along the coast with the idea of turning north and heading to the island of Gunland, famed for its mercenaries, its warriors, and for the Jarl, Gunnar Gunnarsson, and the fortress of Wormhold. Sigverka, you have placed yourself in this crew, and they're going to Gunland to hire mercenaries.
Sigurd walks the deck, a bowl of fish gruel in his hand, scoops it up with his fingers and crams it in his mouth, smearing it down his beard. And as he walks, he raises his voice. There was a woman once, wife of a great warrior from Gunland, Burger the Quick. Perhaps you've heard of him. Helena was her name, and she enjoyed the wealth her husband brought home from battle and raids. The brooches, pendants, furs and coins. Her table was never without the finest food and drink, and their home was the envy of all. Helena paraded about the town, showing off her wealth. Great pride she took in the fine clothes she wore, and the gold that adorned her. Great pride she took in the jealous stares of others. Their jealousy, well, that soared her spirit. And each night, whether Beardgear shared their bed or not, Helena would clasp her treasures close like a lover, pouring her heart into them and them alone. Slowly, but surely, the craving for more than she had took her, and took her away from the woman she was. Her children were of no importance to her anymore when compared to the acquisitions. Her husband's affections, mere distractions. She had no love, but for that shined. Burger the Quick's share of every victory was never enough, and Helena needed more. She took others to her bed for trinkets and gifts. She stole from merchants she plied with her fine drink. The glitter of polished metal and gems all our eyes could see, hiding them, saving them, storing them, worshipping them like one would at the Godstone. That wasn't until Burger found out. He cast his wife out, still clutching to her ill-gotten gold, and their children turned their backs to their mother. She who had so much now was without, and she who had it all now had nothing.
A lot of the men are like eating, and they kind of stop and they like listen, and you see like looks pass between some of them, the story like echoing in the actions they've taken recently, and some of them will lose their appetite and like wipe their fingers on their trousers. You'll see one of them, a man from Ingvik. He'll take some of the hack silver that he has been given, and he'll like look at it, and then you'll see him like look to the sky and like mutter something, maybe to the gods, and drop it into the ocean as you sail your way to Gunland. That's where we'll pick it up next time. So thank you very much, you wonderful humans, for that game. It was great fun. And thank you to those of you who watched. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you next time.